You're listening to a CNA podcast.
How often do you think about where your rubbish goes? I have to admit, I don't know the ins and outs of where it ends up or how it gets there. Many of us live in places where we bin our waste without a second thought. But Malaysia's trouble with trash is a problem the country can't ignore. Its landfills are set to be full by 2050. So, what are its options? Well, burning or burying are two of them. Burning, though, could pose a health hazard for those living in communities near incinerators. Burying also comes with challenges, from soil contamination to greenhouse gas emissions. I'm Teresa Tang. This week, we are going to dig into this issue with Malaysia correspondent Rashvin Bedi in Kuala Lumpur. Rashvin, hi.
Hi, Teresa. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to welcome you back to the podcast. I think many of us, we've seen images of landfills, right? Those heaps of rubbish, compactors maybe driving on top of them. Fewer, though, have actually been to a landfill site. And I imagine you had to visit at least one for this story.
Yes, Teresa. I went to one major landfill where I got approval and permission to go in. But that wouldn't strike you as being a dump site or a landfill because it was a sanitary, proper landfill. But across our work, we did accidentally stumble across more than one illegal dump site. And unfortunately, there seemed to be a few mini dump sites everywhere, even in the urban areas. At these dump sites, you see every imaginable kind of refuse. Plastic bottles, torn clothing, food scraps, broken furniture, even discarded electronics. It's all jumbled up, but it's the smell that gets you. It's the food scrap that causes the smell. You know, if say you are behind a garbage truck in a car, so imagine that, and you want to try and overtake the truck. So this would be maybe 20 times worse. So,
oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for visiting the landfill in the name of your job. Can you give us a lay of the landfills in Malaysia? From your report, I learned that the country has 142 landfills. 21 of those are so-called sanitary ones, like the one that you visited, and the rest are unsanitary. What's the difference?
Okay, so a sanitary landfill is an engineered waste disposal site that isolates the waste from the environment. So, for example, the sanitary landfill I went to in Bukit Taga, which is in the northern Selangor, they have proper liners, which are covers, so that the smell doesn't get to the nearby communities. Actually, you wouldn't even know that you are at a dump site. And the leachate is collected. But the other dump sites lack adequate environmental safeguards. Leachate is the liquid that passes through the waste and drips off, Sometimes you can see it on the road. That's the thing that causes the smell from the garbage trucks. So for the Bukit Taga landfill, for example, they have proper covers. So the smell does not pierce through the air. But for unsanitary landfills, they probably take shortcuts. Their covers are probably not as good. They don't use as many covers, so you can get the smell. And then there is the leachate, which can leak into the ground. And for the Bukit Taga landfill, they do a lot. They harness the methane gas to power up turbines, and they generate electricity, which goes back into the grid. But not every landfill is like this.
And now Malaysian officials, they're saying, hold on, these landfills, they're filling up, and they're filling up fast. Why do they believe current facilities will reach their brink by 2050?
Teresa, it's because of the increasing waste output. So as populations grow, there will be more urbanization. And due to our changing consumption patterns and consumer habits, there will be more waste. So according to the government, last year's waste generation reached an estimated 15.2 million tons. And this is a 20% increase from 12.6 tons in 2012. So the government said that projecting a continued annual increase of 0.9 to 1.2%, Malaysia could see over 17 million tons of waste generated annually by 2035. In Malaysia, the composition of household waste is dominated by food waste, almost 30%, then followed by plastics and paper. From my personal observation is from what we buy every day when we go to the shops, there's more plastic, there's more packaging. Even a lot of our things that we buy for a bit of discount, we go online. And when the things come, it comes with boxes, it comes with more styrofoam, more packaging. So I think that also contributes to the increasing waste. And another point, even in restaurants in Malaysia, people sometimes don't drink from cups, they drink in the small, clear plastic bags. This is what Professor Agamutu Pariyatambi, a scientist from the Sunway University in Malaysia, has to say.
We are generating about 40,000 tons of waste every day all over the country. And at the moment, bulk of it is going for dump sites because we only have about 10% sanitary landfill. So 90% is actually dump sites. So it's causing too much environmental damage, in terms of the leachate, polluting the soil and as well as the biogas, that's polluting the air and also health hazard.
So many reasons why there's more trash in Malaysia. Can we talk about solutions then, Rashvin? One obvious option is maybe build more facilities, but that will take land. Land can be scarce and expensive, not to mention the not in my backyard or NIMBY attitude, right? Where people, they just don't want this garbage in their communities.
Well, that's the ironic part, right, Teresa? We generate the trash, but we don't want to be near it. So I think, but people living near landfills do suffer a lot. They have to endure foul odors, I think increased vermin and pest populations, decreased property values, and the general degradation of their living environment. While a landfill might seem to bury the waste, it doesn't eliminate the problems entirely. The waste or the byproduct of the waste might be there for hundreds of years. Then there's the worry about the leachate that might contaminate the groundwater. So the best thing, according to experts at least, is incineration. Of course, it would help if at the individual level, we do our best to reduce our waste. Let's hear from Abdul Hanan Abdul Mukti. He's the spokesperson of the Jaringan Rawang Tolak incinerator.
With 3,500 tons per day of waste coming in from 6 municipalities in Selangor, you are expecting 350 trucks coming in and going out every day. Assuming a 12-hour operation, you're talking about one truck every 2.1 minutes. Imagine what will happen to the structure of the road, damage the leachate from the garbage trucks. And all of these entrances are going through residential areas. We are from lower, middle, and lower income group. We don't have any choice. We don't have any options. We cannot move elsewhere.
Let's talk about incineration then. If we're not burying the garbage, why not burn it? What are the biggest downsides to that approach?
For the story that I did, I concentrated on the proposed incinerator in Batu Arang, which is a town in Selangor. The people here are largely against it due to a wide range of serious concerns, primarily revolving around health, environmental impact, safety, and the potential disruption to their community and heritage. They are scared of the lorries that will come in and out, the safety concerns, and they are afraid that the incineration might cause the production of dioxins, which might affect their health. Then they are afraid that these dioxins may also affect the vegetation around the area. So it largely revolves around environmental impacts. Then, of course, they are concerned about safety. You will have more lorries coming in and out. They are afraid that prices of their properties will go down. Let us hear from Tasha Sabapati, the Senior Program and Communications Officer from Zero Waste Malaysia.
In Malaysia, about 45% of our household waste is actually food waste, which is organic waste and wet waste. For incinerators, wet waste is not ideal because it makes it less efficient. Another thing is that incinerators are also extremely expensive, often built around vulnerable communities, and emissions are still there. It might be reduced because of modern day filters and technology. Emissions are still there and we're burning a lot of waste that could otherwise be recycled or reused. So Malaysians should really prioritize solutions based on our context, increase more composting facilities, community composting initiatives, and also strengthen our recycling systems because domestically we're not managing all of our waste as well. So we really need to strengthen infrastructure, availability and access as well, and of course education.
Filling landfills, it's not just a Malaysia problem. It exists in many countries in this part of the world and beyond as well. Rashvin, what can we learn from countries that have managed to deal with their waste effectively?
I think the best way to tackle this problem is by cutting down on our waste personally. There's no other solution. We take a look at Japan. Japan is often highlighted for their Motanai philosophy, which is don't waste anything worthy. And Japan has successfully reduced its per capita waste generation over the last 2 decades. They have meticulous waste sorting systems, strong recycling laws, and a focus on producer responsibility. But I think it really comes down to attitudes and what has been inculcated into our young. I've been to Japan and see how they, over like 20 years ago, they had good recycling for washing machines, fridges, and televisions. Even Singapore, it was just reported recently that their waste generation fell in 2024, with waste from places such as homes and hawker centers falling by more than 20%. So I think even the minister suggested that Singaporeans are making more deliberate choices to embrace environmentally. So I think in Malaysia and perhaps in other parts of Asia as well and around the world, we have to do our own bit. That means we have to reduce first before thinking about reusing and recycling.
That's a great point. I mean, while we are all part of the problem, we can also be part of the solution, right, Rashvin? Recycle, compost, just contribute less to those landfills. Something for all of us to think about. Thanks so much for speaking to me today.
Thank you, Teresa. Thank you for having me.
Well, that does it for this week. Thank you for joining me. I'm Teresa Tang. To find Rashvin's reports and the reports of our other correspondents, just head to cna.asia and YouTube. And don't forget, the TV episode of CNA Correspondent airs every Wednesday at 9:30 p.m. Singapore, Hong Kong time. The team behind this episode is Saya Win, Clara Ong, Tiffany Ung, Junaini Johari, Pei Ning Ho, Nat Fairtelvero, and Craig Dale. Thanks for listening.